Today, the 8th of July, 2026, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta, Argentina, are losing 2-0 to Egypt. The defending world champions, the greatest team on earth, are minutes away from elimination. And the man they built everything around, 38 years old, grey at his temples, in what everyone knows is his final World Cup, has already missed a penalty, already hit the post. The world is holding its breath. And then, Lionel Messi gets the ball. You already know what happens next. But here is what you don't know. The story of how a boy who was never supposed to grow got to that moment in the first place. Lionel Andres Messi was born on the 24th of June 1987 in Rosario, Argentina, a busy, passionate football city that produced dreams faster than it could afford to keep them. His father, Jorge, worked in a steel factory. His mother, Celia, worked part-time as a cleaner. They were not poor in the way of desperation, but they were working class in the way that meant every unexpected bill was a crisis. Young Leo was different from the very beginning. He joined his first football club at 4 years old, coached by his own father. By 6, he was at Newell's Old Boys, scoring goals that made grown adults stop and stare. In 6 years there, he scored nearly 500 goals. He was called La Pulga, the flea, small, fast, untouchable. Then came the diagnosis that changed everything. At 10 years old, doctors told the Messi family that Lionel had growth hormone deficiency. His body was not producing enough of the hormone it needed to grow. Without treatment, daily injections, every single night he would remain physically underdeveloped and his football career would be over before it truly began. The treatment cost $900 a month. For a steel factory worker and a part-time cleaner in Rosario, that was not just expensive. That was impossible. They tried everything. They begged Newell's Old Boys. They begged other local clubs. Nobody would commit. Nobody believed a small boy's dream was worth that kind of money. Nobody except one club from the other side of the world that had never even met him yet. Barcelona's sporting director saw footage of this tiny Argentine boy and made a decision that would change football history. They would pay for the treatment, every injection, every month, but Messi had to leave. Leave Rosario, leave his mother, leave his brothers, leave the streets where he learned to play, and move to Spain at 13 years old. He arrived at La Masia, Barcelona's famous youth academy, and fell completely silent. He was so quiet, so withdrawn, so lost without his family that his new teammates genuinely thought he could not speak. His mother moved back to Argentina with his siblings, leaving Leo alone in a foreign country with only his father. At night, he stared at the ceiling of a dormitory in Barcelona while his mother's face was tattooed on his heart and eventually on his left shoulder, where it remains today. Football saved him. It always had. By 14, the growth hormone treatment was complete. By 17, he was playing for Barcelona's first team. By 20, he was already the best player on earth. But Argentina, his country, his identity, the nation he chose over Spanish citizenship, did not accept him the way Barcelona did. They compared him to Maradona and found him lacking. They said he didn't sing the anthem with enough passion, that he was more Catalan than Argentine, that he was a genius at club level but couldn't lead a nation. 4 Copa América finals, 4 defeats, 3 of them in a row, and then the 2016 final, another loss. Messi stood at the microphone afterwards, tears streaming down his 30-year-old face, and announced his retirement from international football. His country had broken him. He came back. Of course he came back. Because the boy who injected hormones into his own leg every night at age 10 to keep a dream alive was never going to let one press conference end the story. He returned, led Argentina to the 2021 Copa América, won it, his first major international trophy, fell to his knees on the pitch and sobbed like a child, because in that moment, he was the 10-year-old boy in Rosario whose family couldn't afford the needles. He was the 13-year-old alone in a Barcelona dormitory who couldn't speak. He was every Argentine who had ever doubted him. And then Qatar, 2022. the World Cup final, one of the greatest matches in football history. And Lionel Messi, at 35, finally lifted the only trophy that had always eluded him. The world wept with him. But he didn't stop. At an age when most footballers have retired to commentary boxes and sponsored Instagram posts, Messi came to the 2026 World Cup at 38. His teammates knew what this meant. This was it, the final chapter. The last time that number 10 shirt would walk out at a World Cup representing Argentina. And today, against Egypt, it looked like the ending nobody wanted. 2-0 down. Penalty missed. Post hit. Egypt, 60 minutes away from one of the greatest upsets in World Cup history. The noise in Atlanta shifted. You could feel it. Messi's tournament was ending not with a roar but with a whisper. And then, the 79th minute, Messi picked up the ball and reminded the entire world one more time exactly who he is. He set up the first goal, scored the second himself, his 8th of the tournament, more than any other player on earth. And in the second minute of stoppage time, Enzo Fernandez headed in the winner to complete the most dramatic comeback in World Cup knockout history. It is the first time ever that a team has won a knockout match in regulation time, after trailing by 2 goals in the 75th minute. At full time, Lautaro Martinez ran to Messi and said what the whole stadium was feeling. "Enjoy this moment, because you deserve it." This is his last World Cup, and he has given us so much. Messi stood on that pitch in Atlanta, grey-templed, 38 years old, and wept. Not for the records, not for the history. For a small boy in Rosario with a needle in his leg and a dream nobody believed in, Lionel Messi has won 8 Ballon d'Or awards, more than any player in history. He has scored more goals for a single club than anyone who ever played. He has won more trophies than most entire national football associations. He is the all-time leading scorer in World Cup history. He has his mother's face tattooed on his shoulder. He founded the Leo Messi Foundation to give children access to healthcare and education because he never forgot what it felt like to be a child whose future depended on medicine his family couldn't afford. Every goal he has ever scored has been paid for in part by a needle in a 10-year-old boy's leg on a quiet night in Rosario, when his parents did the impossible just to keep the dream alive one more day. So tonight, if you watched that comeback against Egypt and felt something in your chest that football isn't supposed to be able to reach, this is why. You were not watching a footballer score a goal. You were watching 38 years of injections and dormitory loneliness and Copa América losses and retirement tears and comebacks and World Cup finals and a mother's face on a shoulder and a father who drove his boy across the world so that a dream nobody else believed in might just survive. Lionel Messi is not just the greatest footballer who ever lived. He is proof that the smallest boy in the room, the one with the needle in his leg and the doubt in his country's heart, can still, somehow, be the last one standing. Subscribe to the Forge Files. Share this story tonight.